In the apartheid days, left-wingers used to be subjected to abuse for holding protests outside South Africa House in London. Well, now it's a shrine, the flag at half-staff, people arriving to bring flowers and talk eagerly about what Mandela meant to them.
There's me standing on a tall stool.
This man produced what was clearly a treasured souvenir, his head just peeking from the background during Mandela's first visit to South London in the early 1990s. Unforgettable.
He taught us about ourselves as much as he taught us about how we might treat other people. I think that's the key thing for me, and that was the big thing. But you know, to be in Brixton at that time was in fact, I always say that this is the sort of greatest moment of my working life, was that day, not in the office.
Because you saw Mandela.
Yeah.
That's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it is, and I've kept this ever since. Yeah.
For people born after the mid-1990s, it's perhaps hard to explain exactly what Mandela meant. For everyone born in the 1960s, it's much more simple. It's precisely because the iniquity of apartheid was so easy for people to understand that Mandela's struggle helped whole generations of people growing up in the 60s, 70s and 80s understand what civil rights were all about. And in places like Britain, everybody got judged on what their attitude was towards South Africa and the ANC. In that sense, Mandela helped millions and millions of people set a moral compass on what they thought about the world. And because apartheid was so easy to understand and rebel against, anthems like this one were sung in every university disco across the country for years and years. Mandela's struggle defined everyday decisions people made. Would they choose to put their money in a bank with links to the South African government? Would they support musicians who played concerts there?
Prime Minister, can any British Prime Minister resist the pressure now building up for tough economic sanctions against South Africa?
Yes, I think you can resist.
Margaret Thatcher, lionised by the political establishment when she died earlier this year, used to describe Mandela as a terrorist. Most people would say nowadays that that puts her on the wrong side of history, and those who formed the international anti-apartheid movement in London so many years ago are the ones being congratulated now.
It was the people of Great Britain that assisted us to form up our former headquarters in Patton Street here in London. It was the anti-apartheid movement that assisted the African National Congress.
Some people say Mandela's struggle was supported by so many in Britain because of white post-colonial guilt. Maybe that's partly true, but still there's a universal truth in the power of grace in adversity, and that's a lesson for the future, as well as a story from the past. Laurence, Al Jazeera, in London.